Breaking news! A meteorological nightmare unfolds across America as twin winter storms prepare to devastate 12 states in an unprecedented assault. This transcends typical December weather. This represents atmospheric warfare against infrastructure designed for normal winter conditions. Natural gas pricing has escalated 30% in regional markets as demand increases beyond standard winter maximum levels. Commercial establishments throughout the affected territory report emergency purchasing of winter equipment, with generators, heaters, and salt completely depleted. But throughout this challenging prediction, communities demonstrate the extraordinary resilience that characterizes American winter endurance. Neighbor assistance becomes the survival narrative as people monitor elderly residents and distribute resources collectively. Religious institutions and community facilities establish warming stations, while local businesses extend operating hours to provide emergency refuge. Volunteer snow clearing teams coordinate through digital platforms, ensuring vulnerable residents remain secure and accessible. These compassionate actions establish connections that persist long after temperatures normalize and snow disappears from affected territories. Now let's investigate the atmospheric mechanics behind this remarkable sequence of events that meteorologists classify as unprecedented. Alberta clippers obtained their designation from the rapid-moving sailing vessels of the 19th century, renowned for velocity and effectiveness. These systems initiate in the Canadian province of Alberta, accelerating southeast throughout the plains, Midwest, and Great Lakes. The jet stream configuration responsible for this crisis has achieved amplitudes never recorded in 175 years of meteorological observation. The northern branch of the jet stream, alternatively identified as the polar jet, supplies the energy and guidance for these systems. When multiple clippers align like transportation vehicles throughout Western Canada, it establishes a continuous offensive against American weather. The current configuration displays 4 separate clipper systems positioned throughout the Canadian prairies, each transporting significant snow potential. Northwest flow from Canada functions as an atmospheric transportation system, perpetually delivering cold air and moisture toward populated territories. The ridge of high pressure positioned over the western United States prevents all moderating Pacific air from accessing the affected areas. This establishes an atmospheric obstruction in the sky, compelling all weather systems to utilize the northern pathway through vulnerable communities. Lake effect snow amplification develops when clipper systems traverse the relatively warm Great Lakes water surfaces. Temperature contrasts between the lakes and the overlying air establish instability that generates additional heavy snowfall accumulations. These amplified snow corridors can generate rates surpassing 4 inches per hour in pathways just several miles wide. The velocity of clipper movement, typically 35 to 55 miles per hour, prevents substantial intensification, but permits rapid progression across vast territories. Arctic flow patterns from northern Canada have established a direct pipeline delivering sub-zero air masses into heavily populated regions. This rapid movement means that while individual snowfall quantities may be manageable, the extensive coverage creates regional paralysis. Arctic air masses trailing clipper systems frequently generate the most hazardous conditions, with wind chills approaching life-threatening levels. The combination of fresh snow coverage and clear atmospheric conditions establishes optimal conditions for extreme radiational cooling. As we examine beyond this immediate crisis, the extended range configuration reveals even more dramatic modifications ahead. The European seasonal projections suggest a substantial pattern transformation around December 20th, introducing unprecedented warmth for the holiday interval. This warmth develops from a strengthening southeast ridge that transports Gulf moisture and mild air northward throughout the eastern United States. Christmas morning snow depth evaluation indicates very restricted white Christmas opportunities except for the extreme northern tier and mountainous regions. The Rockies, Cascades, and Upper Great Lakes preserve snow coverage, while most traditional Christmas snow territories remain exposed. This constitutes particularly unfortunate timing for winter enthusiasts and businesses dependent on holiday season snow activities. But the pattern transformation following Christmas could be equally dramatic, with winter returning aggressively for New Year's week. Meanwhile, a colossal ridge of high pressure anchored over the western United States blocks all moderating influences from the Pacific Ocean. January 2025 projections display a classic La Niña arrangement with enhanced storm pathways throughout the northern United States. The polar jet strengthens and repositions southward, establishing favorable conditions for major storm development and intensification. Subtropical jet connections become feasible, permitting moisture from the Gulf of Mexico to interact with northern cold air masses. These phasing situations generate the category of blockbuster storms, capable of shutting down major metropolitan areas completely. The Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, and Mid-Atlantic confront increased risk for significant winter storms during this interval. Conflict zones establish where warm and cold air masses collide, creating complex precipitation categories and dangerous travel conditions. Ice storm potential escalates throughout the southern peripheries of these systems, threatening power networks and transportation infrastructure. Severe weather threats develop throughout Dixie Alley as temperature contrasts intensify along storm boundaries. The Canadian SIPS projection demonstrates overwhelming consensus with this configuration, despite its tendency toward warm temperature bias. Northern blocking configurations develop throughout Arctic territories, reinforcing the southward displacement of the polar jet stream. This atmospheric lock ensures the Arctic pipeline remains operational, delivering consecutive waves of dangerous winter weather through early next week. This blocking establishes persistent cold air sources throughout Alaska and western Canada that supply southward into the United States. The La Niña precipitation configuration promotes above-normal snowfall throughout the Pacific Northwest, Northern Rockies, and Great Lakes territories. Exceptional snow seasons become feasible for these territories, while the southern tier experiences below-average snowfall quantities. Ski facility operators throughout the northern territories prepare for what could be their optimal season in years. But immediate concerns focus on surviving this weekend's dual Clipper offensive and the Arctic surge that follows. Friday constitutes the intermission between storms as the initial Clipper departs and the Arctic air begins accumulating throughout Canada. Saturday's secondary Clipper approaches with even more threatening characteristics, including stronger winds and enhanced snowfall rates. Sunday morning delivers the decisive blow with sub-zero temperatures that could establish multiple December records simultaneously. Monday initiates the gradual moderation process, but temperatures remain substantially below normal through the middle of next week. Don't miss tomorrow's Essential Update, where we'll expose which territories confront the highest risk for complete infrastructure failure. Recent weeks have already produced extraordinary snowfall across the Great Lakes and Midwest, with accumulations reaching 400% above normal levels. We'll analyze exclusive computer modeling data revealing the Christmas week temperature surge that could establish record warmth nationwide. Plus, advanced preparation strategies from emergency management experts who've guided communities through similar multi-day winter crises. The January configuration analysis exposes shocking details about potential storm systems that could exceed this weekend's impacts significantly. Will the Ohio Valley confront its most severe winter in 5 decades? The answer lies within La Niña's strengthening control over North American weather. Tomorrow's forecast update includes survival accounts from families who successfully endured similar double Clipper events previously. These practical experiences provide invaluable guidance for surviving the next 72 hours of hazardous weather conditions. The next 24 hours constitute your final preparation opportunity for the most challenging December weather event in recent memory. Stay informed, stay prepared, and stay connected to your community during this unprecedented winter weather sequence. This is the weather event that will define December 2025. Don't miss tomorrow's life-saving forecast update. Lake effect snow generations operates at maximum efficiency, creating precipitation rates surpassing 3 inches per hour in concentrated bands. New England experiences heavy accumulation northwest of Interstate 95, while the Sierra Nevada ranges remain mysteriously dry due to persistent blocking. Tonight's initial Clipper emerges from the polar branch of the upper-level flow, transporting energy and moisture from the western Canadian prairies. Snow precipitation has already commenced across Sioux Falls and Des Moines as the system's forward edge penetrates the northern plains. The opening strike delivers 6 to 10 inches tonight across the heartland, while a second devastating blow follows within 48 hours targeting identical areas. Evening hours witness explosive snow development throughout central Illinois, targeting the Interstate 80 transportation corridor with dangerous accumulations. The Champaign-Urbana metropolitan area confronts its most significant seasonal snowfall as rapid accumulation begins following sunset. Overnight progression carries the system eastward into Indianapolis, Cincinnati, and Lexington, while maintaining destructive forward momentum. Friday morning sustains snowfall activity throughout the Appalachian mountain chain before the initial system finally weakens over the Atlantic. Don't miss the critical revelation. The secondary clipper develops Saturday with characteristics that terrify veteran forecasters. This follow-up assault targets virtually identical territories, establishing a dual impact scenario that emergency managers have never confronted before. Sequential clippers striking matching areas within 48-hour periods could generate combined snowfall exceeding 18 inches across the primary impact zone. The secondary system tracks marginally northward, potentially distributing significant accumulation into Toledo, Cleveland, Columbus, and Pittsburgh. Erie, Pennsylvania confronts blizzard conditions Saturday evening as lake enhancement merges with clipper snowfall for catastrophic results. But here's the shocking revelation meteorologists uncovered. Both systems precede the most severe Arctic invasion of the entire winter season. Why are weather experts calling this the most dangerous winter storm sequence ever documented? The answer will shock you. Sub-zero readings and deadly wind chills engulf the affected territory Sunday morning, establishing life-threatening conditions for millions of residents. The convergence of heavy snowfall and extreme cold creates scenarios capable of overwhelming emergency response infrastructure completely. Power failures become inevitable when snow-weighted vegetation encounters Arctic gusts exceeding 45 miles per hour during peak cold intensity. Natural gas consumption will surge to unprecedented levels, rivaling the polar vortex disasters of 2014 and 2019, challenging heating distribution systems. Emergency shelter facilities prepare for maximum occupancy as residential heating costs skyrocket and mechanical systems fail under extreme demand. At the 3-minute mark, here's the comprehensive regional analysis that could determine your survival strategy for this unprecedented crisis. Northern Prairie Devastation Zone. North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota absorbed the complete force of both clipper systems with life-threatening accumulations. Minneapolis-St. Paul anticipates 5 to 8 inches from tonight's system, followed by additional 4 to 7 inches Saturday from the secondary clipper. Fargo and Grand Forks prepare for zero visibility conditions Friday morning, with snowfall intensity potentially reaching 2 inches hourly during peak activity. Sunday morning introduces sub-zero actual temperatures with wind chill values approaching minus 35 degrees throughout the entire region. 85 million Americans from the Canadian border to the Tennessee Valley now face a meteorological catastrophe that defies all historical precedent. Interstate 94 connecting Minneapolis to Fargo becomes impassable Friday evening, with travel restrictions continuing through the weekend period. Midwestern Impact Corridor. Iowa, Illinois, Indiana face repeated clipper bombardment, with Des Moines receiving 12 to 16 inches combined accumulation. Chicago avoids maximum snowfall but still accumulates 3 to 6 inches from each system, producing hazardous commuting conditions throughout the metropolitan area. Springfield, Illinois occupies the target zone with 7 to 12 inches predicted from the initial clipper alone, followed by another substantial impact Saturday. Indianapolis confronts a complex forecast, with snow transitioning to sleet during the secondary system, establishing dangerous ice-coated roadway surfaces. Interstate 80 throughout Iowa and Illinois experiences repeated closures as snowfall overwhelms mechanical removal capabilities across the corridor. Ohio Valley Strike Zone. Cincinnati, Louisville, and Lexington witness snow from the initial system before the secondary clipper delivers enhanced accumulations. Columbus, Ohio projects 5 to 8 inches Saturday as the secondary system travels farther north than original forecast model predictions suggested. Kentucky's central region confronts 4 to 7 inches from each system, with maximum snowfall occurring during Saturday evening time periods. Transportation becomes extremely hazardous throughout Interstate 71 and Interstate 64 as both storms impact critical transportation arteries. But here's the terrifying discovery that emergency officials made at 3 a.m. this morning that changes every assumption about winter preparedness. Great Lakes Enhancement Zone, Michigan, Wisconsin, Northern Ohio experience amplified snowfall as lake effects merge with Clipper systems. Milwaukee and Madison accumulate 5 to 9 inches from Clipper snow exclusively, with supplemental lake effect bands generating locally higher amounts. Detroit confronts 4 to 8 inches from the secondary Clipper system, with maximum snowfall occurring Saturday night into Sunday morning. Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo prepare for blizzard conditions as Clipper accumulation combines with Lake Michigan snow bands for devastating consequences. Cleveland and Erie, Pennsylvania endure the most dangerous conditions with sustained lake effect snow following both Clipper passages. Appalachian Impact Zone. West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, Southern Ohio receive moderate but significant snowfall from both systems. Charleston, West Virginia projects 3 to 6 inches from the initial Clipper, with enhanced amounts possible across elevated terrain. Pittsburgh faces 4 to 8 inches Saturday as the secondary system passes closer to the metropolitan area than the initial Clipper. Mountain communities throughout West Virginia and eastern Kentucky could witness 8 to 12 inches where elevation amplifies snowfall rates. Northeast Terminal Zone. Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire receive diminished but still significant impacts from the secondary Clipper Sunday. At precisely 3 minutes, I'll expose the exact snowfall predictions and timing for every affected city, plus the critical actions that could save your life. Buffalo and Rochester confront lake effect snow amplification following Saturday's Clipper, with concentrated bands generating 8 to 15 inches locally. Albany and the southern Adirondacks accumulate 4 to 8 inches Sunday as the secondary system weakens while progressing eastward. Vermont's Green Mountains and New Hampshire's White Mountains experience orographically enhanced snowfall totaling 6 to 12 inches. Don't miss the next devastating development. The Arctic surge following these systems will establish December temperature records throughout 15 states. Sunday morning initiates the harshest air mass of the winter season, with actual temperatures plummeting 45 degrees below normal readings. Wind chill calculations throughout the upper Midwest crashed to minus 40 degrees, establishing life-threatening conditions for anyone exposed outdoors. Chicago faces its most severe December morning in 8 years, with temperatures struggling to reach 3 degrees, despite abundant sunshine. The combination of fresh snow coverage and cloudless skies establishes optimal radiational cooling for record-setting overnight temperatures. Heating mechanisms throughout the affected territory will function at maximum capacity, straining electrical networks and natural gas distribution. But here's what emergency coordinators won't publicly acknowledge. This Arctic outbreak signals the beginning of a far more extensive pattern transformation. This very moment, meteorological chaos is organizing across western Canada as the polar jet stream locks into an impossible configuration. Christmas week delivers an unexpected reversal that will completely reconstruct holiday weather throughout the entire continental United States. Mother Nature orchestrates a dramatic intermission from winter conditions, introducing spring-like temperatures with unprecedented enthusiasm during the holiday season. Temperature readings could climb 45 to 55 degrees above normal throughout the Midwest and Ohio Valley during Christmas week. This dramatic thermal oscillation constitutes one of the most extreme weather pattern inversions ever documented in North American meteorological records. But winter returns aggressively as we advance into the new year, delivering potentially legendary cold and snowfall accumulations. January 2025 projections indicate a La Niña configuration that promotes intensive storm generation throughout the Ohio Valley and Northeast. The polar jet stream repositions for optimal storm impact, establishing conditions for phasing systems with enormous snow production potential. Phasing develops when northern and southern jet streams merge energy generating the category of massive storms that paralyze metropolitan areas. These moisture-saturated systems create conflict zones of snow, ice, and severe weather, producing multi-hazard situations across extensive territories. The Ohio Valley, Midwest, and New England confront elevated precipitation from this configuration, but determining rain versus snow remains uncertain. Weather alerts now span 1,400 miles as the first Alberta Clipper system gathers strength along the international border. That essential question awaits resolution as we analyze immediate survival protocols for this weekend's dual Clipper offensive. Here are the essential preparation measures you must implement within the next several hours before these systems materialize. Action 1. Emergency provisions for minimum 96 hours, including sustenance, hydration, medications, illumination, and battery-powered weather monitoring. Accumulate additional batteries for all equipment and verify backup power sources are tested and prepared for extended interruptions. Action 2. Vehicle winterization. With complete fuel capacity, emergency equipment, ice removal tools, jumper cables, and thermal clothing stored in every automobile. Maintain sand or absorbent material for traction, plus a shovel, tow equipment, and emergency nutrition that resists freezing. Action 3. Residential heating preparation, including alternative heat sources, additional blankets, and pipe freeze prevention protocols. Maintain faucet dripping during coldest intervals. Open cabinet doors beneath sinks, and identify the location of your primary water shutoff. Action 4. Communication coordination, because cellular towers may fail during severe weather and prolonged power interruptions. Create check-in procedures with family members and ensure someone beyond the affected territory knows your location and intentions. Educational institutions across 9 states have declared emergency shutdowns affecting 4 million students, while transportation networks brace for collapse. Action 5. Transportation. Cancellation or postponement for all discretionary trips from Friday evening through Monday morning. If travel becomes absolutely essential, depart early, notify others of your route, and transport extra provisions in case of stranding. The transportation consequences of these consecutive storms cannot be exaggerated, with primary highways confronting repeated closure intervals. Chicago O'Hare and Minneapolis-St. Paul airports have already eliminated 600 flights for Saturday, with additional cancellations anticipated. Amtrak has discontinued service on numerous routes throughout the Midwest and Ohio Valley, isolating thousands of holiday passengers. Interstate 35 from Minneapolis to Iowa confronts complete shutdown possibilities during the peak of both storm systems. Interstate 80 throughout Nebraska, Iowa, and Illinois will experience continuous closures as snowfall exceeds removal capabilities. State transportation departments have deployed 2,500 snowplows, but they cannot maintain pace with snowfall rates surpassing 2 inches hourly. Economic consequences accumulate rapidly as businesses close prematurely. Shipping delays multiply, and heating expenses increase dramatically. Agricultural enterprises confront livestock stress as temperatures crash, while dairy operations struggle with frozen equipment and water delivery systems.